Hi, everyone. This is Kalia from Marcus Evans. Thank you so much for joining us today on this webinar on Modernizing CapEx for the AI era, Rethinking Investment Evaluation in an Uncertain Environment. This is brought to you in partnership with IQX Business Solutions. Before we begin, I'd like to cover just a few housekeeping items. As you can see at the bottom of your screen are multiple application widgets. They're resizable and movable, so please move them around to get the most out of your desktop space. Also like to encourage you to submit any questions that you might have by using the Q&A widget, and we'll try to answer as many as possible throughout the broadcast. However, if a full answer is needed or we perhaps run out of time, we'll make sure to send you an email afterwards. Also like to draw your attention to the resource list that will contain a copy of today's slide deck, and please bookmark any links that you might find useful. To answer any common technical issues, I advise you use the help widget. And finally, a reminder to look out for an email within the next 2 hours with links to review today's session. At this point, I'm pleased to introduce you to our moderator and our host. We have with us Richard Freiberg, who is the CEO of IQX Business Solutions. Very happy to have you on. I'm going to hand over to you, Richard. I hope you enjoy it.
Good day, and thanks very much, Kyle. It's great to be discussing such a topical item. AI is everywhere. And every business is making decisions. So looking forward to a great conversation. My name is Richard, as Carl mentioned, founder of allocate Business Solutions, and our core product is something called StratX Online. It's a SaaS platform for capital planning and budgeting. Essentially, StratX Online helps leaders allocate their capital and time to the projects that matter most. And I think in these very uncertain times, those kind of systems are in great demand. I have with us today an esteemed panel of finance leaders from across the globe. So I'm very excited to introduce Amit, Andy, and Bassam. But I'll let them just briefly introduce themselves. Amit, going to kick off?
Good morning or good evening. I know it's an exciting time that Richard is able to get all these people, with a common platform. So thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Amit Goyal. I am Chief Financial Officer for SBI Canada Bank. SBI is the largest bank in India. They have operations in Canada, and I'm leading the finance function for Canada. I've been in the banking industry for more than 25 years. I've worked across multiple international banks like Deutsche Bank and Citco Bank and all that. So happy to share my perspective and experience with my colleagues. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Richard, Amit. So my name is Andy. So currently I'm in charge for the finance in the OCS group. OCS is a global facility management company that having base in the UK, but I'm in charge for the market in Indonesia and Philippines. So been with the finance and strategy for almost 20 years. So is happy to have a connection with all of you. I know this is a good morning for someone, and then good afternoon, and then good evening. So looking forward to have a discussion with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Hi, everyone. Bassam here. I'm a finance director with PepsiCo in the Middle East, 20 plus years of experience. I have also, took a part of my career managing strategy and larger scale ERP migration system. And happy to be with you today and looking forward to an exciting session. Thank you. Richard, over to you.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, guys. It's great to have a team assembled from around the world. The wonders of modern technology. Yes, AI. You can't go far without discussing AI. And what we know for sure is that the hyperscalers, the Oracles and Microsofts and Googles are spending $600 billion on the AI infrastructure this year. So it's an enormous capital investment in the foundational models. But on top of that, we have enterprises and governments aiming to spend virtually $2 trillion this year on taking advantage of these AI technologies. So there's a lot of money going into AI right now. When we look at the percentage of digital budgets being spent on AI-related initiatives, not only is the total digital budget spending gone up on average for large enterprises to over 13% on average, but 35% of that digital spending is targeted towards AI initiatives. So I think from a finance perspective, we really are being challenged as to how we allocate that capital in an efficient way that's going to deliver the biggest bang for our buck from an organizational perspective. And I think it's a target-rich environment. There's lots of demand for spending on AI initiatives, and there's a lot of uncertainty on the cost and time frame to deliver on these AI initiatives. So the big problem we're going to be addressing today, the major dilemma for finance folk, is how their capital planning and budgeting systems can adapt to this new investment reality, where we know we have to spend or else we're going to be left behind, but building the business case in the traditional way, where we were more clear about our costs and returns and net present values and IRRs, is not so straightforward. But I think before we get into the business case building, I'd just like to ask my fellow panelists what impact they feel that AI is likely to have in their business. We're likely to have a big range of industries represented on the panel today. So I'll maybe kick off with you, Bassam, from a PepsiCo perspective, consumer products perspective. How is AI likely to impact, sugary soft drinks? Do you have any idea, any challenges or opportunities? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Richard. And let me start by highlighting that it is a game changer. AI is changing everything we do. It starts with the mindset and the best use cases. So now everything that you put your hand on the business, you would find an AI solution that will help you to operate in a much more efficient way. And this doesn't mean only productivity and cost cutting. Of course, this is a very critical element of it. However, the efficiency, the accuracy, your ability to reach to your consumers in a much faster way, the way you segment your consumers. Now with AI, you would have the ability to understand what are the demographies of the people lives in a certain neighborhood. And in order to give them the right product and in order to serve them the right way and to ensure that you meet the consumer expectations. All of this is happening through AI, through reading the mobile sense of the consumers who lives in the area, and even within the stores, when the consumers come into the store, visit the store, it will calculate exactly the minutes they will spend in each of the categories within the stores. What are the products that they are buying? So it is a game changer across when it comes to capital budgeting and planning. This is something that we will cover as we move forward into the presentation. However, nowadays AI is also contributes to the way we do business, the way we forecast and run our budget, the way we manage our cash flow. So it is impacting every corner of the business.
Yeah, fantastic. Moving along, Andy, from an OCS group, how do you see AI impacting your future operations? Is it going to have an impact to the way you deliver your facilities management services?
Yeah, sure, Richard. So in the facility management industry, I think AI wave is starting to reshape how we operate and then how we manage the contract, because our business is basically managing the contract in the customer side. And of course, and how we create value for our clients. So it means in terms of the traditional FM with a very labor-intensive and operationally driven industry, where efficiency is largely coming from the workforce, preventive maintenance, and also the service quality across many distributed sites. AI is now introducing the possibility to make this operation for more predictive, data-driven, and scalable. So from the organizational perspective, we see that the three major opportunities that coming in the FM related to the AI. So the first one is regarding the predictive and then the data-driven operation. AIs allow us to move from reactive to predictive maintenance. So instead of responding the equipment failures, so we can anticipate issue in system like HVAC, electrical, or building infrastructure. So means that for our clients, it's deliver what we commit, like fewer disruption and then lower life cycle costs and better asset performance. So means for the customer, like I mentioned before in the very beginning, that it create more value in terms of just doing traditional facility management in our customer side. And then of course, second, still that the FM business is regarding the workforce. So it means that using AI, so we can optimize specifically for the cost spending using the optimization in the scheduling, and then such as the impact like reducing number of overtime and improve the productivity across the multiple site. Even small improvements in labor efficiency can significantly improve the contractual margin. And the last that we see the most opportunity in terms of AI is coming from the enhanced client transparency and reporting. Nowadays, that the demand in the facility management is not only doing the traditional service like cleaning, like a hard service, but also how we as a facility management company can provide more value in terms of data. So means that using AI, it's giving us more value. Of course, this opportunity also coming with the same challenges. So I can mention some of the significant challenge for the FM. For the adoption of AI is about, the first one is about the data maturity. So this is still our biggest challenge, how we can connect from multiple system, multiple information, and then coming to AI and then creating a very insightful information. And the other things about the challenge is about operational adoption. So because technology alone for us does not create value. The real success of AI depends on how the site team, the technician, and then combination with the support function in the office can have integration and then can have collaboration and then make daily decision making. So I think this is overall the impact of AI in the facility management, Richard.
Fantastic, thank you. Amit, what do you see as the impact of AI in the banking sector?
Yeah, so thank you, Richard, again. Hearing from Bassam and Andy, I think I'll try to keep the impact of AI in a sector, in a banking sector, in a way which is different from other industries. So on the consumer side, absolutely everybody has agreed and explained how AI is changing their life and everything. So being in a bank, we do need to take note of that, those changes, and we are making those changes for our consumers. But the second part, which is very unique to banking industry, is our internal compliance and risk regime. So we are, a very highly regulated industry. And if you recall, in a COVID time, we were the last one to go, remote working, because never in the history, never in the past, it was done. So typically, banks are kind of last to adopt, any new technology because of, multiple reasons. But once they adopt, they embrace it quite well. So I think I see AI going in the same way, that on the consumer front, we are adopting it very well, and consumers are liking it, as Bassam and Andy mentioned. But for internal purposes, the banks are a bit careful and they're going slow, and which is, I think, is the right approach. But it is very helpful, very, very impactful, as far as I can say, the impact of AI.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. I think what we can all agree is that AI is pervasive. It is going to make a big difference to our organizations, and that there are some challenges to overcome. I think, Andy, you made some good points there around the data and adoption, and as well, Amit, around security and governance. The question I have is, we're all on this journey together. Yeah, we're all trying to figure out where best to apply it and how best to fund it, and which platforms to choose. We know that we have to move, because if we don't, our internal users are going to start using their own AI, and that's even less governed and controlled and secure. So we need to provide the tools to our teams, and we need to be efficient, because AI has a significant cost. There's only going to be the investment in those foundational models and in that AI infrastructure if there's going to be a return for the hyperscalers, and they will be charging good money for these services, as will the integrators and service providers. So when it comes to building the business case for adopting AI, has anyone recently had the experience of building a winning business case, or taking a business case up to management and getting approval for, frankly, a project with a indeterminate cost, duration, and benefit? And how did that go? And what lessons were they learned? And how did it actually pan out in those initial projects? Did you find that the estimation was quite accurate in relation to those costs and benefits, or did the reality turn out to be quite different? And how has that informed your future, business case justification and preparation and presentation to your stakeholders? So does anyone have any recent experiences of building a business case for an AI initiative, and how it might have gone?
Thank you, Richard. I can go first here. Yes, I had a business case. I will explain it in a bit more details. But just to answer your question, when it comes to the management buy-in, the hype around AI is making it a bit easier for finance folks and for the strategy and transformation leads to build the business case and to get the buy-in from the management and to move forward with the execution and the implementation. I would say that it was a bit easy, because everyone now sees the opportunity and the solid return as a result of the AI adoption. It is still, I would call it immature, or it's in the early stages of it. However, all the companies, all the CEOs now talks about AI adoption. So the business case that we had is how to move our budgeting and forecasting and planning processes from a purely manual Excel sheets process into end-to-end digitized solution, AI driven, where the AI would have the data for the past 10, 12 years, and then they will do the predictive budgeting and also the monthly forecasting. And of course, there will be like some opportunities for human intervention when we understand and we know that here there was a certain anomalies which shouldn't be the base for the forecast. Let's say, for example, a COVID year, the 2020, which was unusual, and we don't expect that the situation of 2020 will happen again, or any regional conflict, for example, that happened in a certain region which impacted the end-to-end supply chain logistics. So all of these anomalies are being fed to the machine, or to the system, and the system develops as we move forward. The learning, of course, analyze a much wider range of data, and we started to see that the outcome of that is becoming more and more solid. We believe that it's all about the change management. It's all about the mindset. It's all about how whether you want to push this towards a success state or you are not supporting it and you see the AI as a risk. So the message that I give to my team and I give to my colleagues, it is one of two options. Either you will be part of the change, you will embrace the change, you will lead through the change, or ultimately you will be the change. So it wasn't an easy journey, right? It wasn't an easy journey. I would say we struggled, and at the beginning we were unable to navigate through the system implementation. It took a bit of time, and also we have witnessed a budget overrun, but all of it was contained, and all of this was manageable because we had this mindset of we will make it together. We will push this towards a success state, and our BU was recognized from PepsiCo globally, being the first market to adapt this initiative, and this was in the Middle East. So this was our experience and the initiative that we implemented here.
Sounds like you've got a progressive management team there that understood the hype and the urgency and was able to make brave decisions, being the leaders of the enterprise in your region. Congratulations, and being prepared, I guess, to bend the rules somewhat, because I suppose in the traditional capex process you would have had more stringent KPI and financial metrics that you had to demonstrate before a project would be approved. Where am I fair to say that you were able to bend those rules slightly because of the recognition by your leadership team of the importance of doing something in this area?
Thank you, Richard. I fully agree, and I fully agree to that. And it requires strong leadership mindset to understand the how this is emerging and the how the world is transforming, and accordingly they take the right decision. Of course, it has to be built based on a thorough business case, investment assessment. I wouldn't say ROI, but there are the quantitative and qualitative measures of it, right? So it's not only about dollar value. Ultimately, that's the objective of running the business, but there are also some other factors that needs to be taken into consideration, like forecast accuracy, how we make fast decision making. So all of these needs to be considered as well as part of the business case, and sometimes those factors cannot be quantified, right? At least nowadays and at the beginning of the business case buildup.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Andy, do you have a similar story to that?
Yeah. So we have two stories that represent the one example is regarding I can say that successful investment, but not really a big investment, but it started to have a benefit implementation for AI. This is regarding the workforce scheduling and operational analytics across a multiple service site. So I don't know whether all of you are aware about the FM. FM is a labor intensive, so means that the largest portion of our cost base is regarding the people cost. So it means that every single improvement in terms of the scheduling, reducing overtime, and then better align staffing levels, this will impact to the cost efficiency. And the other hand, we had initiative that we can say is not really work well as of now, is the implementation of the advanced predictive analytics for the certain building systems in our customer. And the lesson learned is not about the technology itself. It's not about the algorithm in the AI itself, but this is regarding the operational integration. What does it mean? So like ensuring technician and site team consistently use the predictive insight in their daily workflow So this is something that our biggest challenge to implement this project. So means that these experiences reinforce important from a finance and governance perspective that according to the lesson learned, the success of AI investment often depends less on the technology itself. I think this is similar with the other technology implementation. This is will heavily much more depend on the data quality, operational adoption, and of course, like also Bessa mentioned about the change management, which is coming from the commitment from the top leadership, and then how this can be cascading down into the lowest level in the organization, which is regarding the change management. So that's why at the very beginning, we decided in the country ExCom decision to be implemented of the AI initiative, the pilot-based implementation and a stage gate investment is required. So not a big bang, but doing like a pilot with 1, 2, or 3 sites. And then if this is success, we can copy to the similar sector. And if this is also success, that we can decide it to the big bang for the entire implementation on the contract. So I think this is the one of the experience in the our organization, Richard.
And similar to Bassam, did you find that in the business case justification, it was more than just the financial return, that there were other aspects that were equally important around the justification around customer service or strategic factors?
For the first implementation regarding the workforce optimization using AI, we have that financial tangible benefit, which is one of them is reducing our overtime costs as well as the people costs in our gross margin. And for the implementation of the predictive analytic, so this is something that we are not getting tangibly about the financial, but during the discussion with our customer, it creating value added more to our service and then to our brand. When we discuss this with the customer is appreciate that they feel that we are different FM player that's starting and also seriously to implement AI in our customer side. So meaning that we can, based on the experience, we can get the financial benefit, and then also the other not really linked to the financial benefit, but this is like a leading a KPI, leading measurement that we got.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's the common experience I've had with my customers as well, that the traditional scoring models, let's say, of prioritization of these project initiatives need to become more rounded. It's not just the financial benefits, it's also the risk-based assessments. And there's two key risks that we have to consider here. But one is, I think, to the point of Amit when it comes to banking is the risk of implementation. Yeah, what could go wrong? We're worried about hallucinations, for example. So there's an implementation risk, as always, with an AI project, and probably higher than in the past, because no one really understands what's happening in that box. But also there's an urgency risk, right? There's a risk of inaction. And if we're not moving in this direction, as you pointed out, Bassam, to your team, you're either part of that change or you will be the change. Yeah. So these other factors, non-quantitative financial metrics, all these qualitative assessments around customer service, or in your case, Andy, also talking to the reputational benefits of being a leader in providing these technologies, helps solidify and retain that customer base. So important not just to cost saving, but also to retaining and growing your customer your customers. Anything else on that, Amit? Or
no, nothing. I think you summarized quite well, Richard. Only thing I will add is that in our case, in our industry, instead of making a business case, it's more from top-down approach. So the top management, in principle, have to agree that yes, this is something they want to embrace. Again, as I mentioned, the timing could be a little bit off. May not be the early adopter of AI when it comes to the banks, But when it comes to that acceptance, yes, we are looking into AI. Then obviously each individual business unit will have to make the case. But then for us, it becomes easier. So one challenge is that we have to wait for our top management to kind of be open and receptible to this change. But on the other hand, the benefit is that once they are agreed in principle, making the business case individually becomes easier. So that's the difference from other industries.
No, great point. So back to you, Bassam, on the business cases that you've worked on at PepsiCo. I note that you've been involved in a number of large-scale finance transformation initiatives using traditional digital platforms. AI, I think, has some unique differences that impact those estimations and costing components. For one thing, probably there's a combination of CapEx and OpEx related to these, that there's some more fundamental decisions that have to be taken before project. Can you discuss some of those unique aspects of an AI project versus perhaps a traditional capital investment?
Yeah. Great question. Thank you, Richard. And just to start with, before we approve the case study and the capital for that large-scale ARB transition, it took us like close to 6 to 9 months in order to get the business case approved. And it was a very hectic exercise where you manually had to collect all the different elements of the capital structure of that project, between, as you rightly mentioned, CapEx, OpEx, and within the CapEx, external parties versus internal resources versus hardware versus software versus T&E. Very hectic exercise. And of course, managing that and mapping it along to the business case and making sure that you comply with all the governance, all the risk metrics that have been set within the organization, making sure that you comply with all policies and procedures within the organization internal control framework. It was a bit of a hectic exercise, I would say. However, let me start by stating that within organization there are many different type of CapExes. It starts with the growth CapExes. Those CapExes are, essential to the achievement of the strategic objective of an organization, right? And they must go, because without those you will not be able to fund even your future expansion, and you will not be able to meet your consumer needs, the market expansion. Within 1 or 2 years, you might go out of capacity. All these kind of investments are crucial for the business continuity. The second one is the strategic business necessity project, which is foundational to run the business. Without those, you will not be able to run the business, either related to health and safety, the safety and security of our employees, of our people, and the well-being of our people, or any other operating necessities such as an ARB platform. For me, I would see that this project of transitioning or migrating from the SAP ECC6 to S4 is a foundational investment rather than discretionary. We had to do it, and the reason why we wanted to ensure that we have platform sustainability and vendor roadmap, risk reduction, of course, another reason in terms of security, compliance, business continuity, and of course enabling future capabilities. We are here talking about real-time data. We talk about automation. We talk about scalability. And just to link this to what we will discuss in terms of AI, without those foundation, AI cannot work. Without having a structured data or a real-time data, without having a scalable data that would enable the AI to operate and run, I believe the AI will not get you the desired results, the results that you want to achieve out of that AI. So, and the way we evaluate investment is having a different, the right investment lens to each of the initiatives that we evaluate. So, in order to ensure that we remain within or we apply a disciplined financial model, we need to make sure that we have the right monitoring activities. We need to ensure that we have the right stage gate, a very clear phased delivery with measurable milestones. We need to ensure that we have a tight governance on scope and benefit realization and cost to complete. And the success here is not only just going live with the project. It is staying within the agreed risk envelope in terms of financials, in terms of system capabilities, name it, across the business case. Of course, making sure that we avoid business disruption, because we run a larger scale ERP system, spans across 7 countries, and a huge net revenue implications. So we need to make sure that we deliver this and we manage the migration smoothly within the time frame, within the approved or even less than the assigned budget for the project, with zero or very minimal business disruption, and ultimately ensuring that the benefits that was stated in the business case have been materialized and achieved, and even tracked post the go live. And then the difference between the traditional ERP implementation and AI, we touched base on that when I highlighted that the initiative that we implemented recently. At the start, you don't have that solid outcome. You would have the business case. You have a very valid reasons why you want to implement it. However, you don't have a clear ROI, as you rightly mentioned at the beginning of the call, Richard. You cannot calculate MBV. I would say that you would have the best estimates in terms of budget, but ultimately it is a bit early for this to mature accordingly. As you go, the budget might overrun. And this has to be built even as part of the business case. What is the contingency that you will build at the start of the project? One more important point is how we make sure that we consider the qualitative factors, as we highlighted. It's not only about the quantitative factors. Management and the team who build the business case has to make sure that the broader management team, the leadership team, or even beyond, understand what are the ultimate objectives that we are trying to achieve here, how it will scale, and what are the benefits that we will achieve, either quantitative and qualitative, in order to take the right decision. This is how I see it, Richard.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And I guess really building a little bit on that last comment around the traditional ROI metrics and the qualitative factors becoming much more important. Andy, from your perspective, have you had a similar experience that you need to utilize those other aspects to their full when you're convincing the XCOM to invest in these new AI initiatives? you need to really promote those qualitative benefits?
Yeah, I think this is a very relevant question nowadays in terms of the how we use AI and then how we invest AI during the discussion in the leadership team. Because AI investment is rarely fit neatly into the traditional CapEx framework. In many cases, the timeline is, as we know, this is somehow is uncertain. Costs evolve as the solution scales, and then the benefit are spread in our business across the operation, across the contract, and then the client experience, as well as the probably long-term competitiveness. So from a finance perspective, the challenge is not just calculating the ROI, it is creating a structure and credible evaluation framework that investment committee can trust. So in practice, usually I approach this with the three ways. The first one is we expand the business case beyond the traditional ROI by introducing strategic value indicators. So some of AI benefit are indirect but still economically important. For example, stronger client reporting capability can improve contract renewal rate. And the other example is like a predictive maintenance can extend the asset life. And then the advanced analytic can strengthen our competitiveness in the tender. In this situation, we complement financial model with indicators like a contract retention rate or customer retention rate probability. And then we can also using like the other measurement for the risk reduction, for example, operational resilience, and then also the good things for facility management industry nowadays is if we can provide the ESG transparency and then helping the customer promoting their ESG initiative. So we can also leverage using AI. So these hub investment committees see the broader strategic value, not just the immediate financial return or the traditional capital budgeting like a payback, like a present value or IRR. And then the second, in terms of the framework, after we propose the strategic, so I always say using the taxonomy, the strategic value indicator, and then the second way that link this AI to concrete specifically into the operational KPIs before again we translating this into the financial outcomes. So the value often comes through improvements such as the labor productivity, and then if the contract is outcome based, so we can also improve the SLA compliance, and if the contract also full the integrated, including how we support in terms of the energy optimization, so we can also provide this into uh, the measurement of the investment target. And the last, like also what Besa mentioned in my previous sharing, using like a phasing investment or the stage gated investment and scenario modeling to manage the uncertainty rather than approving with the large investment upfront. So we can structure the AI initiative in a phases, pilot scale, like using the example in my previous sharing, like implement AI in a one site or two site or three site. If this is successful, then we can leverage to the other site, which is the same sector. For example, if we deliver the service in the banking sector or in the manufacturing sector or in the offices sector, then we can copy to the other customer with the same sector. And if there is no a big gap in terms of the benefits, so we can leverage to the other. So means that using the stage gated investment is very critical as part of the governance and the framework. So in my view, what needs to change in the finance team must evolve from the static ROI calculation to dynamic value management. So the biggest challenge for us in finance nowadays is to looking the measurement about the value or the strategic levers. So means that every finance team need to have a knowledge in terms of the business and having the strategic mindset. So by only then we can propose what will be the additional measurement rather than IRR, payback, or and then the other things that can convince the investing committee to approve the AI initiative and hence supporting the business to gain more and expand more about the business. Yeah.
That's excellent. I think that really sounds like a modern finance function that you run there. Traditional finance has been all about the numbers, but it sounds like you guys have realized your role in the business as really managing those strategic levers, as you say. And I love that expression of moving from static ROI to dynamic value management. I think that's a great way of putting it. Thanks for sharing. Now, you mentioned at the beginning Amit, about working in India's largest bank, and you need to be careful and go cautiously. I think that if you were to make a change, I suspect that change would always be difficult. If you wanted to make a change to your CapEx management process, to be more balanced, perhaps, and nuanced in how these AI initiatives are assessed and evaluated and approved, you need to find a way that's really compelling to your senior management team, because change is always difficult. So not only do you have to sell the value of the AI, I guess you need to convince the management team that the change is going to be worth it. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on how you overcome the change management concerns for improving systems, whether they your internal systems or your CapEx management systems? How do you build a case for change to the way that you're currently evaluating projects, and how you should think about this new type of project, which is called AI, which is so uncertain by its nature, but so transformational in its impact?
Yeah, Richard, thanks. It's a great question. And I think this applies to all industries and companies, because every organization is very different. And when it comes to change management, it's not easy. So I would like, I'll keep my answer short. I mean, it's a long discussion though, that when we approach AI investment, it has to be seen, it doesn't need to be seen as a process improvement, doesn't need to be seen as an IT initiative. It has to be presented or discussed, as a risk and compliance and framework, and also the value leakage. Basically, OCM it should be embraced at an organization level, as I mentioned in my earlier remarks. Then it's easier to basically go by case and unit by unit, department. Most of the time, actually, the business cases fail because we always treat organization, change management as just an add-on. Okay, this is an additional thing, we are doing it. No, it's not the additional thing. It's just the foundation that has to be accepted at all levels, at organization level. So acceptance doesn't mean that we're just adopting AI everywhere. Adoption means, or acceptance means, the AI is a part of the organization now, and it should be seen as a risk mitigation, as I mentioned, value assurance, so that it can protect the actual investment. Governance become strong, and of course, as you mentioned, Richard, earlier, of cost of not taking any action. So those are the 3 or 4 kind of narratives which can probably help. And once that acceptance is delivered or explained, then you can talk about the business case, because business case is still required, but it requires some more, initial work. So when it comes to business case, then of course, as Andy and Bassam has already explained, in the companies, like they have to have a stakeholder mapping as to what kind of change it will bring, what kind of benefit it will bring, not in terms of the cost, returning the cost, training, what will be required. So it has to be a very step-by-step process when it comes to the business case, which I think Bassam and Andy already explained. But from the organization change management perspective, it's important that it's presented as a risk and compliance and value creation adoption, as opposed to just individual bandage type of experience. So basically, last but not the least, important thing is that OCM is not an optional. Like we have to make them understand that this is not an option. It has to be done. So we should be open to look into that. And it's important that organization change management understand, okay, this is the balance sheet item. It's not a P&L item. The balance sheet means it's like an asset you're building in the organization, which will give result over the years, depending on the case to case. Yeah, I hope I justified my thoughts.
No, that's super. Thank you so much. I think we're getting close to wrapping up, but just I'd like to ask anyone if they have any thoughts about the evolution of CapEx management in the next few years. I'm seeing in the market that the time scales of decision making need to speed up. The technology wave is moving so quickly that we can't still plan and budget on annual cycles in general. Is that something that you guys are seeing as well, that we're going to have to be more agile in our evaluation? We're going to have to be more transparent. We're going to have to look for platforms rather than point solutions. So do you see any changes to the way that organizations will start to view this capital planning and allocation process with greater priority, perhaps, than it was in the past?
Yeah, I can go first and can say yes, for sure. The organizations are going to look at this differently, and there will be more transparency. But linking or connecting my thought with the earlier point I was making, that's the reason it makes my point very strong, that at the organization level, at the change management level, there is a acceptance. And then, of course, there will be business case will be able to easily implementable, and of course it will bring more transparency, because unlike in the past, when you make a business case for one department or one business unit, the other business unit has to make a separate case, to implement some solution. But in this situation, in case of AI, I think it's going to be the other way around. To organization level, you have an acceptance. Now you tell me, okay, why and how this particular investment will benefit your department or your business. This is how I see that. It will bring transparency and agility for sure. Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Thank you, Amit, and I fully agree into that comprehensive, interconnected initiatives across the organization. And I fully agree that it is much more easier now to convince and to take a business case, into the approval stage by the management, and also availing the needed investment. And we have seen at the beginning of our discussion how the investment on the digitalization capabilities of the organizations and governments increased significantly over the years, and it will continue to increase because it is evolving, and the many organizations would love to catch the race. And of course, this is a modernized tool of doing and running business. It will change the ways of working that we are currently adapting. the traditional way will not go away soon. This is how I see it, Richard and Amit. However, it will be elevated. It will be elevated. It will be partially digitized, and for AI initiatives, it's a bit different. The outcomes are less linear, and value emerges over time, and not every use case should be scaled. Right at a point of time, it is crucial for the organization to decide the no go point, because after that, it would be very hard and difficult for the organization to pull back on the investment. So instead of funding AI through large-scale upfront business cases, I would call out the capital planning process needs to be supported through the staged investment with a smaller initial funding, with a clear, well-defined success criteria, and explicit scale. And with that, this will create the transparency within the system. This will make everyone aware of what is happening, when we will take the decision, how we are monitoring and tracking our investment, what is the current ROI, are we meeting the expectation that we have set for ourselves in the business case. And the most important, as I called out, is the agility to call the investment down if we believe at a point of time that this will not scale up and move forward to another investment decision that will help us to achieve what we are trying to achieve from a strategic organization objective.
That's a great point, to scale up and to scale down, right? Okay, well, I think we could talk for a lot longer. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. We do need to wrap up. We're on the hour. We do have a few questions that have come in via Q&A. I think we've addressed some of them as we've gone through. There's one question here. Maybe we can just, anyone have any thoughts on that? What are the common pitfalls in AI project evaluation? So what mistakes should you avoid making when we look at these AI proposals? Any suggestions from anyone on the panel?
I can start. I can go first, and I would say that the biggest mistake that I have seen and top of mind is to oversell the investment initiative, and also overstate the outcome and the benefits that will be achieved as a result of the implementation of a certain investment initiative. So expectations has to be realistic, and it has to be clearly defined. And of course, there should be like a buffer, but the buffer is like 5 to 10%. It shouldn't differ or vary significantly versus the business case. So assumptions, expectations has to be well defined. Budget as well, not having the right contingency in the business case, and when the project overruns, or the budget, when the project faces with the budget overrun, it will be a significant issue or failure to whoever is managing, rather than having a contingency approved within the project, of course, with the right governance and the right guardrails on when and how this will be utilized. But having it and built it initially at part of the business case will help our the FP&A team to and the supply chain team and the capital budgeting team to bake it within the annual planning and budgeting process. So and of course at the beginning, upfront investment fund, a large investment fund, I would call this also as one of the challenges and things to avoid while preparing and building a business case. I don't know, Amit or Andy, if you have different thought process.
No, I think I agree with your remarks, Bassam. I agree with you. That's very common mistake that we over promise and less deliver. And in case of AI, especially, like you will definitely end up delivering more. It's just that we cannot quantify it upfront in the beginning itself. So yeah, so avoid those kind of over commitment. Yeah.
Over commitments and large upfront investments. That seems to be a common theme. I think that's excellent advice and probably a great place to bring our panel discussion to an end. I thank you very much. Kyle, do you want to pop in?
Yes, of course. I just want to say a very special thank you to our amazing panelists for your great insights and being so generous with your time today. It was a very interesting discussion. On behalf of myself and Marcus Evans, we'd just like to thank you all so much for the collaboration throughout. To turn things back to the audience quickly, just like to say thank you for all the great questions and comments that came in. We weren't able to get to all of them. We'll make sure to reach out to you after the broadcast. A reminder to look out for an email within the next 2 hours with links to review today's material. And we would love to hear your feedback about what you thought about the webinar today. A survey will pop up on your screen in just a moment. Really appreciate any comments that you might have. On behalf of IQX Business Solutions and Marcus Evans, we'd just like to thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope to see you again at future events. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day further.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.